So I think one of the stupidest things I've heard over the last 3 months in the National Basketball Association is that Kevin Durant is not a good leader. Look, the real problem with the Phoenix Suns is not Kevin Durant's leadership. It's the fact that they don't have a single point guard on their roster.
You're listening to the House of Takes NBA show with Dave Daba, the only NBA show in North America that believes the Rudy Gobert trade worked out for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Presented by Stealth.ltd.
Welcome back to the House of Takes NBA show. I'm Dave Daba, and as always, I am coming to you live and on tape from the heart of the Silicon Valley. On tonight's show, we are going to talk about the Phoenix Suns and why the Phoenix Suns are a bit of a disappointment with about 2 months to go in your National Basketball Association season. So let's start with the actual roster that this team has actually fielded at this point. Now, obviously, we've got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. We know that Bradley Beal's played in 22 games this year, always seems to be injured. Collectively, their big three have played in, I think, maybe 25 games together so far this season. Booker, as we know, is out for a couple weeks now. Bradley Beal is back, but, he's just a dribble away from being injured. Now, Nurkic is a nice addition to this team, at least not quite as big of a head case as one DeAndre Ayton, who actually missed a game this year because of ice, and he couldn't figure out how to get out of his particular house. Grayson Allen was a good addition. And then from there, it ends. Then you've got Bol, Eric Gordon, Drew Eubanks. Didn't he used to host a television show? Damian Lee, Josh Okogie, and just a bunch of other players to be named later. They certainly, if you were to ask me, do not have the kind of roster that is actually capable of winning an NBA title. There, I said it. It is not Kevin Durant's fault that the Phoenix Suns are currently sitting in sixth spot, 10 games above 500 at 36-26. Now they're playing the Toronto Raptors tonight, I believe. And of course, they'll have a chance every day. You have a chance to move up and or down in this highly competitive Western Conference, which is, of course, going to be even more competitive now that Karl Anthony Towns is going to be out. It looks like, we don't know this yet, but it looks like it might be for the rest of the season. So the Timberwolves are probably certain to fall back a bit. I don't know that they'll fall beyond fourth in the West before the end of the season. That being said, this Phoenix Suns team, their number one problem is so clear. It is so blatantly obvious. Now, all those people that are talking about Kevin Durant's leadership and everything, quite frankly, they really don't know what they're talking about. If they watch the games, they can understand where the Phoenix Suns have trouble. And they have trouble primarily in the fourth quarter. Now, they might play a good first quarter, a not so good second quarter. They'll play a good third quarter, and then they'll have an off fourth quarter. When they get a lead in the fourth quarter, they struggle to actually maintain it and keep it. That, my friends, is the primary problem right now, considering the roster that they have on hand, that this particular Phoenix Suns team is actually incurring. The problem is simple. They don't have a true point guard, somebody that can actually settle everybody down on the court and get the team actually into the plays. Now, I know, Kevin Durant can pass a ball. Devin Booker, 7, 8 assists a game. He can pass a ball. Bradley Beal, same thing, 5 to 7 assists a game. And those three are simply making passes to themselves. And then Jokic is just sitting there grabbing the boards whenever there's a missed 3-point shot from the logo. That is exactly how things are playing out. So when people talk about the Phoenix Suns actually being a disappointment this season, I'm like, I don't think I'm really disappointed. I know that when Kevin Durant got traded to the Phoenix Suns, there were all sorts of expectations. And those expectations were completely blown out of proportion. Completely and utterly blown out of proportion. Anybody that thought the Phoenix Suns were going to be a top 3 or 4 team in the NBA this particular season did not do their homework. They did not actually look at that roster the Phoenix Suns organization had actually put together for this particular team. All right. So those are my thoughts on the Phoenix Suns as it stands. Once again, 36-26, 10 games above 500 in the highly competitive Western Conference. I know that seems like a disappointment to a lot of you, but I would feel differently about saying that was an actual disappointment if they had a true point guard on their team who was actually able to settle them down in fourth quarters. They've left at least 6 or 7 victories on the table because they do not have a true point guard. That is the actual problem with this team. All right. That is it for tonight's House of Takes NBA show. Tell me what you think, North America. If you haven't already subscribed to our big House of Takes channel, please go ahead and do so. We're closing in on 1,200 subscribers, which is a big deal, actually, for a small independent show. Appreciate all of your support. And I think that's it for tonight. Once again, for the House of Takes NBA show, I'm Dave Dubois, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
You've been listening to the House of Takes NBA show with Dave Daba, presented by Stealth.ltd.